Welcome to Chesterton High School, Week 5 of Friday Night Insight. I'm Jim Peters, along with this week's pinch hit co-host, Serge. Serge going to be filling in this week for Josh Weinfuss. Josh, regretfully, ladies, has accepted an offer to work at ESPN. No, I'm just kidding. Josh is on special assignment back at the office and couldn't get away today. I was talking to Serge beforehand, and Serge is actually Swedish, so he's not going to have a whole lot to say today, but he's just here to accompany me as we talk this week about Chesterton's big showdown Friday with Valparaiso. Both teams coming into the game at 4-0, 2-0 in the Duneland Athletic Conference. Valparaiso with conference wins over LaPorte and Michigan City, just like Chesterton. Non-conference wins over Penn and Griffith. Chesterton has rolled up over 40 points per game so far this season, and going in against a Valparaiso defense that has been resistant to every offense so far this season, and early indicator of who's going to be in contention in the Duneland Athletic Conference. We had an opportunity to talk to not one, but two Chesterton Trojans about this week's game. John Watson, the quarterback of the Trojans and the trigger man for this high-powered offense, and Peter Fouts, a defensive back who has been a spark on that side of the ball for a unit that's not been a lockdown group, but has come up with some big plays and been very opportunistic here in the Trojans' early season success. We had an opportunity to talk to both John and Peter after practice. I'm here with Chesterton quarterback John Watson and defensive back Peter Fouts. Big keys in the Trojans' early season success here. They're 4-0, heading into this week's game with Valparaiso, the vaunted Vikings. Big rivals, always a big game just from the rivalry standpoint, and the stakes are even higher this week. Just talk about your feelings as you get ready for this one.
Well, Valpo is always a big game for us. We always circle it on the calendar to start the year, and especially this year, since both of us being state ranked,
Yep.
it really gives us the feel like when we were sophomores in 08, when we won conference. It's really kind of that same feel, and everybody's really excited.
John, you've been part of this both have been part of it for a few years now, and it's something that I know predates high school. You learn at a young age as a Chesterton Trojan that you don't like the Valparaiso Vikings, and I don't know how deep it runs, but it's a big game and certainly has a lot of meaning just from many aspects.
Yeah, it's a real deep meaning just overall for all sports. I run track against Valpo all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge rivalry, and like you said, you learn young, and it's a big part of our season.
Trojan offense has averaged over 40 points per game so far. John, the trigger man under center there, making all the right reads this season and completing passes at a incredible rate of success here this season. Your accuracy has improved dramatically, and just touch a little bit on the success of the offense this year.
Like you said, last year our passing wasn't the greatest. We spent a lot of time on the off season on that. It's a huge part. Running the option for this will be about 4 years now. That just gets easier every year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we worked huge on the passing game this off season, which it's really starting to show.
Yeah, they've taken a little pressure off you guys with all the points they put up. You're allowed to give up 20, and they just score 40. So, but it's been a big play defense. We've talked, and it's the old bend but don't break mentality, where you're going to give up some yards, and the key is not to give up some points. 4 interceptions in the last 2 weeks, 2 of them taken back to the house, and does that typify the defense a little bit? That's just you guys got that little bit of mentality there.
Well, we kind of have that big play mentality, and like you said, bend don't break. We'd like to get rid of that bend at all,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll take it right now. We still have a lot of room to grow, a lot of room for improvement. And, we're all really excited. We all really worked well together, and we're excited for what we can do this year.
How about some, first of all, defensively, some keys to this week's game? Clearly, you're taking a step up the ladder in terms of how strong your opponent is and what the challenge is presented for you this week.
We really haven't been tested like Valpo is going to test us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all know that. And we're really going to work hard this week at practice. We have a lot of film to go over. And some of these young guys, they're really going to get a feel for what a big game is. And I think we're all just excited. That's just the best word for it.
John, you guys have not had to punt yet this season. I don't want you to make any predictions about that with Coach Snyder lurking in the shadows here, but a tremendous accomplishment in regards to that. But you know, this is probably far and away the best defense you faced, and I guess you got to. You just, as simple as it is, sounds to just try to keep doing what you've been doing, executing, and.
Yeah, that's a huge stat, not to punt all year, but we've been working on special teams a lot, and I think we're pretty confident in what we can do, even if we do have to come down and punt. Our defense is stepping up right now. That if we do have to punt, we're pretty confident on that also. So we're looking all right.
John Watson, Peter Fouts, Trojans, Valparaiso Vikings, Week 5. Somebody's 4-0, somebody's going to be 4-1, somebody's going to be 5-0. We'll find out Friday night. A little different spin on our helmet sticker tradition this week. The Trojans award the Hit Stick for, well, go ahead and explain it. No stickers on the helmet this week, and the guys are going to let you know a little bit about their tradition. I was going to say it's defense, but I've come to find out it's not exclusively a defensive award.
Yeah, well, the Hit Stick is an award given out to the player with the most big hits, most impact hits after every Friday. And, you know, it's got a deep meaning here. It's been around since I've been here. Coach Bamber does it for us, and we all take a lot of pride in being the biggest hitter, being the biggest, baddest guy on the field. And John is actually the first offensive player to win it last year.
First quarterback officially. Take a couple, lower the shoulder, take a couple hits on that. I actually got the prize last year, I guess you could say. You get to carry that out before every game. It's like Peter said, it's a pretty good accomplishment that we feel proud of. So.
The Trojans award the bat for the previous game on the Thursday prior to the next game, right? And then you keep that until the following week. So you stay tuned, Chesterton fans. You find out on Friday night who was the Hit Stick winner for the LaPorte game. Chesterton and Valparaiso both coming into this game at 4-0 for the first time, and I can't tell you exactly how long. I was able to get back to 1994 this afternoon, and as far as checking records as to the last time both teams came into the game undefeated, had several years where one's been 4-0 or the other's been 4-0, but we've not had an instance, at least in these kids' lifetime, where these teams have both come into the game 4-0. So big one Friday night over at Viking Field. One of many big contests on the agenda for Friday night. Josh's big game, if he were here, he was going to talk about Munster against Morton. Munster knocked off in overtime by Andrean last week. Morton coming into the game, a little unknown commodity. We hyped the Governors a lot in the preseason. They've been a little inconsistent so far, but Kalen Aaron, Andrew Glidewell, and Chris McCormick combination at quarterback going against a Munster-led offense of Mark Strbiak, and that'll be a good one out that way as both of those teams trying to gain some momentum going toward the already the middle portion of the schedule here as we're closing in on week 5 and we start to turn the corner in the season. So quite a few upset alerts for you just this week. Serge, if you'd want to hold the Serge, can you? No. I don't know. What could we get on a co-host on so short notice? He couldn't even hold the upset alert sign. But anyway, we've got 3 games for you on upset alert this week. Josh is putting Andrean on upset alert this week against Hobart. The Brickies coming off an impressive win over Kankakee Valley that got them back to 2-2. Andrean, of course, coming off a huge overtime victory against Munster. This was an Andrean team in the preseason that we weren't sure what they were going to have this year. They've really put things together, and impressive actually in their only loss, losing to Maryville, and came back with a big win over Munster. Letdown potential, maybe not. They've got to go over to the Brickyard. The Brickies are gaining a little confidence, and this is still a rivalry game. This might not be the bitterness between the two schools that there was years ago, but still a lot of emotion between these two teams when they get together, as Andrean looks to keep the momentum going, and Holbert looks to really build on last week's victory. So Josh is 2-0 on his upset pick, so I got to give the new guys some props for having some pretty good insight here on some surprise games. I'm going to go three different directions here. I got putting Hammond high on upset alert against Westside this week. The Wildcats with 2 wins in a row. The Cougars, we haven't seen much of them in a while. They've played 3 Chicago teams in a row here, lost the last couple games, but this I think is still going to be a pretty good football team before all is said and done. This one could be a pretty wide open offensive game between the Cougars and the Wildcats. Another upset alert, we're going to put LaPorte on upset alert this week against Lake Central. LaPorte's lost its 2 opening games in the conference against Valparaiso and against Chesterton. Lake Central coming off a loss against Crown Point last week and the week before in overtime against Portage. The Indians look an opportunity to break the ice and get that first Duneland Conference win, and I think they have a solid chance to establish that power running game this week against an undersized Slicer defense that has given up some yardage and points in the early going this season. As looking at the rest of our undefeated teams in the area, we've got Rensselaer taking on Twin Lakes. The Bombers in an opportunity to go 5-0, and the same with Wheeler. Wheeler taking on South Central in a Greater South Shore Conference game. South Central, big ups to the Satellites last week for their come-from-behind victory over Whiting. It's Jeff Karras getting the program on track over in Union Mills, and it'd be a huge win for the Satellites to knock off Wheeler this week. But Wheeler's got it rolling again. They are certainly the team to beat in the Greater South Shore Conference once again. So I would throw it over to Josh. If Josh were here and he had anything to say. Serge, you got anything to add? No, I guess not. Evidently, Serge, I want to thank you for your words of wisdom today, as few as they were, but got to do what you can do, folks. Get out to a ball game Friday night. We'll see where we are next week for another edition of Friday Night Insight. I want to thank videographer John Watkins for taking time off on from his vacation schedule. John was headed to Cancun this week, and Friday Night Insight was so important to him that he decided to delay his vacation for a day to help us out here. So thanks again, John. Hopefully Josh will be back with us next week for week 6 of Friday Night Insight. Until then, enjoy some football, folks, and we'll see you soon.